Hello friends, let's have a quick discussion on IS 7 Statement of Cash Flows. This particular presentation will help you to have a quick sneak peek into what lies inside IS 7 Statement of Cash Flows. So it's just a brief run through over the accounting standard. IS 7 Statement of Cash Flows. Why do we have it in first place? So guys, if you remember, as per AS1, presentation of the financial statements, cash flow statement is one of the mandatory documents required as part of the complete set of financial statements along with others. So number one reason is IS1, which states us that cash flow statement is mandatory. Number two, if you say that your company is in compliance with IFRS, that means that all entity has to prepare their financial statement in conformity with IFRS, then they are required to present a statement of cash flows. Number three, now what is the objective of IAS 7? The objective of IAS 7 is to require the presentation of information about the historical changes. The main point is historical changes. It's not a forecasting. Historical changes in cash and cash equivalents of an entity by means of statement of cash flows, which classifies cash flows during the period according to operating, investing and financing activities. So let's move to next point, IS 7 fundamental principle. So if you see in the objective, we saw that it states that the movement or the analysis of historical changes of the cash flows. What does that mean? Cash and cash equivalent at the beginning of the period, cash and cash equivalent at the end of the period. So cash flow statement is basically analysis of the changes between the beginning and at the end of the year, cash and cash equivalents. So that's very clear now that what is IS 7 statement of cash flows is just analysis of the changes between beginning and at the end of the year statement cash and cash equivalents. So further, IS 7 guides on the definition of what is cash and cash equivalents, and number two, on how to prepare and present the cash flow statement. So cash flow statement is nothing but analysis of the movement of your cash flows for beginning and end of the year. But IS 7 will further guide you on what is cash and cash equivalents and how to prepare and present your cash flow. We all know that we need to prepare cash flow statement as per IS 1 and as per IFRS. But how you need to prepare that and how you need to present that is being something which is guided by IS 7. So that's why you need to refer IS 7. Now let's cover the main part of IS 7, which is the concept and the presentation. The basic concept which states that cash and cash equivalents. So what is cash and cash equivalents, or what is considered to be cash and cash equivalents as per IS 7? Any cash on hand and demand deposits. Number one. Number two, short-term highly liquid investments whose maturity is less than 3 months from the date of acquisitions. You must note here that the date of acquisition, it means that it should not be more than 3 months from the date of acquisition, not from the any other date like balance sheet, reporting date, no, or the preparation of financial statements date, no. Your investment should be less than 3 months from the date of acquisition and readily convertible to a known amount of cash and insignificant risk of changes in value. If you have invested something in equity which is risky, it won't be considered here. But if you have invested something in preferred shares whose maturity at the initial point in time was less than 3 months, yes, and whose value is not insignificant risk of changes in value, then yes, you can consider that under a short-term highly liquid investment and it will form part of your cash and cash equivalents. Number three is bank overdraft repayable on demand and forms an integral part of entity's cash management. In case you have a bank overdraft which is repayable on demand, then and then only it will form part of cash and cash equivalents. So you must notice here all other, like apart from cash in hand, all other items which forms part of cash equivalents are those which are readily convertible into cash and whose risk is actually zero, and then it can be considered as part of your cash and cash equivalents. So So you need to ensure that two steps, that it is insignificant risk of changes in value and known amount of cash. So these both are very important when you classify your cash equivalents or when you try to identify which forms or which components of your balance sheet is cash equivalents. So cash and cash equivalents, very clear. Now let's move to the presentation of cash flow statements. As we are now aware about what is cash flow statement, movements between cash and cash equivalents at beginning and end of the period. What is cash and cash equivalents? We just read through, and now how do you need to present your cash flow statements? So IAS 7 further guides that while preparing your cash flow statements, you need to divide your components into three parts. The first part is operating activities, the second part is investing activities, and the third part is financing activities. So now you must be wondering that, can I classify investing first and financing second and third operating? No. The answer would be clear-cut no, because the presentation has been specifically drafted and specifically notified by IFRS, and it has been said that you need to present your cash flow statement in this manner only. Hence, you need to follow the structure of operating, investing, and financing activities. Now, let's check operating activities. What does that mean by operating activities? Operating activities are those activities which are your main revenue producing activities of the entity. And also the balancing figure. What do I mean by balancing figure is the other activities that are not classified as investing or financing activities would be also part of operating activities. Number 2, investing activities. Investing activities are acquisitions and disposal of long-term assets and other investments that are not considered to be a cash equivalence. Number 3 is financing activities. Now, what is your financing activities? Any activities that alter the equity capital and borrowing structure of the entity should be classified as a financing activities. So now you need to see your balance sheet, and now you need to identify each components of the balance sheet, that it will go into which part, like operating, investing, or financing accordingly. Now few other points, friends. Interest and dividend received and paid may be classified as operating, investing, or financing cash flows, provided that they are classified consistently from period to period. IFRS has been very lenient in this manner that you may choose your classification for interest and dividends, provided the only thing that IFRS requires is the consistently. If you choose to classify them as operating, okay, but classify them consistently over a period of time. You cannot reinstate or reclassify those or items from next period in a operating, next period investing, then after that financing. No, you need to follow the consistent approach of, if you are classifying that as operating, then consistently classify those items under operating. Next point is cash flows arising from taxes on income are normally classified as operating unless they can be specifically identified with financing or investing activities. So generally taxes will go to operating unless you can straightforward identify that this is particularly related to your financing or investing activities. Now next point, operating cash flows can be prepared. The direct method can be prepared with two methods actually, the direct method and indirect method. However, IFRS encourages everyone to use the direct method of presentation, but indirect method is acceptable. Now what is direct method and what is indirect method? Indirect method shows each major class of gross receipts and gross cash payments. However, in indirect method, it adjusts accrual basis net profit or loss for the effects of non-cash transactions. In case of direct method, you don't use the profit and loss and you directly identify all the cash flows from where your revenue has been there from in pure cash terms. However, in indirect method, you don't actually go to each cash line item. However, you take your profit and loss figure and make an adjustment to that to arrive at your operating activities or the operating net cash flow from operating activities. To know what is your cash flows from the operating activity. Both methods are permissible. Let's see a few other notes for consideration as per IAS 7. Cash flows from investing and financing activities should be reported gross with few exceptions. Investing and financing transactions which do not require the use of cash should be excluded from the statement of cash flows. So only those items of investing and financing activity should be reported in cash flows which are purely transacted in a cash or bank, not otherwise. But they should be separately disclosed. In case those are not transacted in cash or cash equivalents, but then they should be separately disclosed elsewhere in the financial statements. The component of cash and cash equivalents should be disclosed and a reconciliation presented to amounts reported in the statement of financial position. The amount of cash and cash equivalents held by the entity that is not available for use by the group should be disclosed together with the commentary by management, because this will help a user to make an informed decision that though the company has a cash and cash equivalent of ABC, but out of ABC, X amount is not available for use. So this forms a very important disclosure. Exchange rate used for translation of transactions denominated in a foreign currency should be the rate in effect at the date of cash flow. Cash flows of foreign subsidiaries should be translated at the exchange rates prevailing when the cash flow took place. So basically here we have done our quick summary of the AS7. What is AS7 is like statement of cash flows. Why it is there? Because as per AS1 it forms an important part of your financial statements. Now the particular guidance on AS7 is why is required, because AS7 guides on how you need to prepare your cash flow statements, like how you need to present it, operating, investing and financing, and also it guides on what you should consider as a cash and cash equivalents and what you should not. If the guidance is not available, every other company or every organization can choose their own method. Hence, a standard approach, to have a standardization approach, the AS7 is being formulated, and so that we have across the board who says that they follow IFRS, and then when they present their financial statements, the cash flow statement can be aligned and can be comparable. Thank you.